The Samsung Galaxy S24 and the Apple iPhone 14 sit at comparable prices in the used and refurbished market right now, and they represent two genuinely distinct approaches to what a smartphone should be. One gives you a camera system with 8K video and 3x optical zoom. The other gives you satellite emergency connectivity and a chip-to-software integration that no Android manufacturer currently replicates. This video will tell you which is better. The Galaxy S24 runs a deca-core processor clocked at up to 3.2 GHz alongside 8 GB of RAM. In day-to-day use apps, navigation, streaming, social media, the S24 is fast, smooth, and handles multitasking without friction. Samsung DeX adds a desktop mode that turns the phone into a productivity workstation when connected to a monitor, which is a capability the iPhone 14 does not offer at any level. The iPhone 14 runs Apple's A15 Bionic, the same chip family that shipped in the iPhone 13, carrying a 5-core GPU versus the 4-core version in its predecessor. Apple's advantage here is not clock speed but integration. The A15 runs iOS software that Apple designed around it, which means processing efficiency, sustained performance under load, and longevity of software support are all optimized in ways that Android chipsets competing against third-party operating systems cannot fully replicate. Apple supports iPhone 14 software updates through a longer window than Samsung commits to for the S24 generation, which matters for buyers thinking about the phone's useful lifespan from today. Edge, Samsung Galaxy S24. The Samsung Galaxy S24 runs a triple camera system, 50MP main at f/1.8, 10MP telephoto with 3x optical zoom, and 12MP ultrawide at f/2.2. The telephoto lens is the headline. 3x optical zoom puts subjects at a distance without digital degradation, which the iPhone 14's camera system cannot match. The iPhone 14 has no telephoto lens. The S24 also shoots 8K video at 30 frames per second, the highest resolution video recording available on any standard smartphone in this price tier, and handles 4K at up to 60 frames per second with slow motion at 240 frames per second in Full HD. The iPhone 14's camera system responds with quality over quantity. A 12MP main camera at f/1.5, a wider aperture than the S24's main lens, and a front camera with autofocus and f/1.9 aperture that produces noticeably better low-light selfies and video calls than the S24's f/2.2 front lens. Action mode delivers stabilized video at 2.8K resolution that handles movement running, cycling, handheld outdoor shooting with gimbal-like smoothness. The iPhone 14's video processing pipeline, built on Apple's Dolby Vision HDR capture and cinematic mode, produces footage that most creators use without color correction. The S24's 8K is technically impressive and practically demanding. Editing 8K footage requires a capable machine and a deliberate workflow. Edge, Samsung Galaxy S24 on telephoto zoom and video resolution ceiling. iPhone 14 on front camera quality, action mode, and practical video output. The Samsung Galaxy S24 runs a 6.2-inch Dynamic AMOLED 2X display at 2340 by 1080 resolution with a 120Hz adaptive refresh rate. That 120Hz promotion equivalent smoothness makes scrolling, animations, and gaming noticeably more fluid than the iPhone 14's 60Hz panel, and it is one of the most tangible daily use differences between these two phones. The iPhone 14 uses a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED at 2532 by 1170 and 460 pixels per inch higher pixel density than the S24's FHD Plus resolution. The iPhone's panel is sharper at close inspection, with true tone color accuracy and 1200 nits HDR brightness. It does not have 120 Hz. At 60 Hz in 2026, there is a visible smoothness gap compared to the S24 that buyers who have used 120 Hz screens will feel immediately. Edge, Samsung Galaxy S24. The iPhone 14 carries emergency SOS via satellite, crash detection, roadside assistance via satellite, and messages and Find My via satellite. No cellular signal required. The satellite capability is hardware infrastructure. It cannot be added to phones that did not ship with it. The Samsung Galaxy S24 does not include satellite emergency connectivity. It has no crash detection in the same passive, always-on implementation Apple built into the iPhone 14. For buyers who drive frequently, hike, travel in remote areas, or simply value having a safety net that works beyond cellular range, this is not a minor feature difference. It is the iPhone 14 offering a protection layer the Galaxy S24 fundamentally cannot provide. For buyers who never leave reliable coverage and prioritize display fluidity, camera zoom range, and Android openness over passive safety infrastructure, the satellite capability is academic. Edge, iPhone 14. The Galaxy S24 carries a 4000 mAh battery rated at up to 29 hours of video playback, outpacing the iPhone 14's 20-hour video playback rating by a meaningful margin. In daily real-world use, the S24 is more likely to make it through a full day of heavy use without requiring midday charging. The S24 also supports Wi-Fi 6E, the 6 GHz band, while the iPhone 14 supports Wi-Fi 6 but not 6 GHz, which matters for buyers on router hardware that supports the newer standard. The iPhone 14 matches fast charging at 50% in 30 minutes with a 20W adapter and MagSafe wireless charging at 15W. Neither phone ships with a charger in the box. Edge, Samsung Galaxy S24. The Samsung Galaxy S24 runs Android with Samsung's One UI layer, giving users full file system access, app sideloading, deep Google ecosystem integration, and the flexibility that comes from a platform not controlled by a single hardware manufacturer. Samsung DeX extends the phone into desktop territory. SmartThings manages connected home devices. The openness is real, and it matters to buyers who value control over their device's behavior. The iPhone 14 runs iOS in an environment where hardware, software, chip, and services are designed by the same company. AirDrop, Handoff, Universal Clipboard, iMessage, FaceTime, AirPlay, and Apple Pay work with an integration depth that Android's ecosystem distributed across Google, Samsung, and third-party apps does not fully replicate for Apple device households. For buyers with Macs, iPads, AirPods, and Apple Watch already in their lives, the iPhone 14 extends that infrastructure. For buyers with no Apple devices, that advantage is irrelevant. Edge, Samsung Galaxy S24 for Android and Google ecosystem users. iPhone 14 for existing Apple ecosystem users. The iPhone 14's front camera with autofocus and f/1.9 aperture is better than most buyers expect relative to the S24's f/2.2 fixed focus front lens. In everyday use, the front camera is the most used camera on most phones. Video calls, FaceTime, content creation, and social media all run through it. The iPhone 14's front camera autofocus tracks moving subjects cleanly, handles low-light environments with more confidence than the S24's front lens, and produces cinematic mode video from the front that the Galaxy S24 cannot match. The Galaxy S24's 120Hz display, larger battery, and telephoto camera all come at a cost that the iPhone 14 does not carry. No satellite emergency capability, no passive crash detection, and no roadside assistance when signal drops. For the buyer who prioritizes performance features in the spec list above safety infrastructure, that trade-off is acceptable. For the buyer who has not thought about it yet, it is worth thinking about before purchasing a phone that cannot call for help when the network is gone. The Samsung Galaxy S24 wins this comparison on hardware capability, and the margin is real across the categories that define the daily experience for most buyers. A 120Hz Dynamic AMOLED display that makes the iPhone 14's 60Hz panel feel noticeably behind. A triple camera system with 3x optical zoom that the iPhone 14 cannot match. A larger battery with longer rated playback, 8K video recording, Wi-Fi 6E support, and Samsung DeX for desktop productivity. The Galaxy S24 is the more capable phone on the spec sheet and in hands-on daily use. The Samsung Galaxy S24 retails new around $699 to $799 for 128 GB, but regularly drops to $300 to $400 in refurbished and discounted deals, a price point where its hardware advantage over the iPhone 14 becomes genuinely compelling. The iPhone 14 runs $530 to $630 new, with pre-owned models available below $300. The iPhone 14 is the right choice for a clearly defined buyer. Anyone in the Apple ecosystem who wants seamless continuity across their devices, anyone who values satellite emergency connectivity and crash detection as genuine safety infrastructure, and anyone whose primary video creation needs are served better by Apple's Dolby Vision pipeline and action mode than by raw resolution. At its current pricing in the refurbished market, often under $300, it is an exceptional value for the iPhone buyer who does not need a telephoto lens or 120Hz. Both phones are linked in the description below. Check current pricing carefully, since condition and carrier lock status vary significantly on both. If you want more comparison videos, then hit subscribe. This channel is built to protect your next purchase. The Galaxy S24 wins. Thanks for watching.